My colleague Pradeep still continues to be with us. Well, Pradeep, what we're given to understand is that Joe Biden will be visiting Israel tomorrow. How is the Israeli State Department looking at it? Because clearly first it was Antony Blinken, now it is Joe Biden. The world leaders essentially are rallying behind rendering their support to Israel.
You're right to say, in fact, all eyes will be on President Joe Biden's visit to Israel because this one can explain, this is called the solidarity during wartime, that they are standing with their ally during this critical juncture, sending a message loud and clear that we are with Israel. And Israel has already made its mind clear that they are going to destroy Hamas, only then they are going to stop because they are going to totally dismantle their infrastructure. Not only that Joe Biden will be meeting the Benjamin Netanyahu, but he will also be going to Jordan. He'll be meeting the leadership there. From there onwards, he'll also be meeting Abdul Fattah, the president of Egypt, and then also he will be meeting the leaders of Palestine, Mahmoud Abbas also. What the United States want, they're trying to show all kind of support to Israel, and then they're trying to ensure that the war does not escalate to other regions and other countries do not become a part of this war. That's one of the reasons that they are trying to tell them, one, that Hamas is not representing emotions and sentiments of people of Palestine. Hamas is a terror organization that believes in only barbarism and brutality. Something that what they did on October 7th is not acceptable to any part of the world. And they want the Arab world to also side with them and stay normal because we have seen during the last few years, efforts had been made by United States of America where they were trying to broker peace between the Arab world and Israel. Already there was an Abrahamic Accord in which we had seen the Bahrain as well as United Arab Emirates were part of that. They were having a good relationship with Israel, and now they were trying to normalize relationship between the Arab world as well as Israel also. So that's one of the reasons that Hamas has carried out this attack. Many analysts believe that they were trying to scuttle that peace process. They never wanted the relationship between these countries to normalize, because if the relationship between the Arab world and the Israel normalizes, then it will be the survival of the Palestine will be difficult because they will be only getting then support from Iran and some other countries, but most of the Arab world will be totally against them. So they were not in favor of this thing. So that way, America's President Joe Biden's visit is going to be really very important tomorrow. He's coming out to this place. We have seen that regularly he has been in touch with the Israeli leadership. He had been talking to Benjamin Netanyahu, 7 phone calls in 7 days. We have seen that every time they keep on discussing. And yesterday we saw Antony Blinken, the Secretary of State of the United States of America. He also was a part of the meeting where the security-related issues were discussed. Because right now, what actually they are trying to do, one, they're trying to...
Right. Well, Pradeep, we will have to interject you over there as we get some more news from Israel and Hamas. And we will come back to you for more on the story. But with the death and despair being the only constant in both Israel and Gaza, my colleague Pradeep Datta spoke to a man who has been trying to appropriate dignity to the dead. Yossi Landau has collected and cremated at least 700 bodies in Israel and narrates the horror that was inflicted upon those whom he is now cremating. Let's take a listen to that conversation.
Clarity you see between 26/11 attack in Mumbai and this recent Hamas attack here in Israel?
A lot of the same, but over here we saw more brutality, more people being tortured, and people being killed with so much different ways of that didn't happen in Mumbai. In Mumbai there was shooting, there were burning. Yes, we saw that. There was missiles. They came in very brutally also, but over here they had the whole time to just torture the people.
How many of them you so far have performed last rites?
How many bodies we took? Our team took over 700 bodies. Most of them were shot in the back and cold-blooded. A lot of them were tortured, and a lot of them were burned. And while they were alive, they were burned while they were alive.
They had also mutilated some of the bodies. They have beheaded some children.
Yes, and they raped women too, and girls. It's not human. You can't call them human. You can't call them animals, because it's a shame for the animals. That's the worst of the worst. It's even worse than ISIS.
how you feel when you see that Indians supporting you every time? Like the kind of a support that our Prime Minister has extended, the kind of a support you're getting from the people of India, and at this critical juncture, everybody is standing with you.
This is a great support. This gives us a lot of courage, and we thank them. And we know, because the Indian people is going through the same thing. They have the same problem that we have with their neighbors, and there have been much more terror attacks over there too. And when somebody goes through terror, he knows how to appreciate and he knows how to stand by. And we appreciate the Indian country and the government.
My colleague Pradeep Datta spoke to Israeli diplomat Eitan Schwartz, who narrated the atrocities inflicted by Hamas on Israelis. The diplomat claimed that Hamas thrives on death and destruction.
From the air takes out what is above ground. But we are talking about a deadly organization, which is also extremely sophisticated. They have a web of tunnels all around the area. Some of these tunnels actually were dug into Israel to kidnap soldiers, as it happened in the past, and civilians. So we are talking about an organization that is so brutal in its means that it also has a whole below face area where some of these hostages are also being kept. Israel has declared that its goal this time is to wipe out these brutal, evil, horrible terrorists once and for all, and to release the hostages. And this is what Israel intends to do.
All these years, we have seen that many of the Western countries had been sending the humanitarian aid. So to what extent do you think that this humanitarian aid was misused, misutilized, and even used for the radicalization and brainwashing of young minds?
You know, you come from a country that has a lot of basmati rice. I saw images yesterday of these big bags of basmati rice, and when they were opened, they were filled with ammunition. In the presentation I just showed you, we show a picture of an Israeli hostage naked in the barracks of these horrible, horrible terrorists. And on the bag there you see of cement, it says, this is a gift from the government of Japan to Palestinian refugees in Gaza. So you can imagine the cynicism and the brutality of these people who locate their infrastructure in kindergartens and in mosques and in hospitals. They are preventing their own people now from moving in the Gaza Strip to seek refuge. They do not want to save the Palestinians. They thrive on more Palestinians dead. This is a type of brutality that humanity hasn't seen in the past few generations.